Handanovic comes out. Ronaldo's picked Bastoni's pocket. And that is a gift for Juventus. Perfectly finished by their top scorer.
The Calcio Guys is a weekly podcast by Adreano DiNardo, Gianni Dellacoli, and myself, Nicholas Di Giovanni. We want to bring Calcio back to its roots in our communities and share stories from around the world about why we're passionate about the beautiful game. You can listen to us anywhere where you listen to your podcasts, including Spreaker, Google Podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, iHeart Radio, and Mixcloud. Give us your opinion on social media at The Calcio Guys on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. The intro song is Fireworks by Jazar. The week of the Coppa Italia finals, always semi-finals, sorry. Always an exciting week. We are rather 2 weeks, in this case, back-to-back. We got Inter, Juve on one side, Atalanta, Napoli on the other, and we got myself, Nicholas Di Giovanni, and Adriano DiNardo here in the Calcio Guys. How's it going, Adri?
Not too bad. Lots of Calcio to talk about. Some exciting games, some exciting matchups. A lot to discuss. Always happy to talk Calcio. How are you?
Pretty good. Habs are losing to the 1-9 Senators, so I could have a better Thursday night right now.
Stützle.
At least Juve didn't lose to Inter. That was actually the only good Coppa Italia semifinal, the Atalanta Napoli. I mean, I think a lot of people had high expectations for that one in terms of goal scoring. You got obviously one of the highest scoring teams on one end in Atalanta, and Napoli. They've had a couple of high scoring games. I think they've had 2 6-goal games this year, so they could put some goals in the back of the net. 0-0, but for those fans who love like defensive soccer, like Koulibaly, he had a masterclass game. So I guess if you're a fan of defense, I mean, it was a good game to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, I guess you're right. I would probably agree that a lot of people probably thought it was going to be a bit more exciting than what it was. If anybody did watch the game, there was some action here and there, but it wasn't anything to really write home about. But, these are two teams that, like Nick said, have the offensive power to score a lot of goals. We saw in this match that Gattuso, made a bit of a change with the lineup, going with the 3-4-3, kind of counterbalancing Atalanta's formation too. So there was a bit of change, but again, like Nick said, Koulibaly, doing Koulibaly type things, back to his old self, which looked good. It's unfortunate that there couldn't be a goal in there. I think Napoli is, they kept the high-powered Atalanta offense shut out. So no away goal for Atalanta, which maybe can be in Napoli's favor. So it's not all bad things for Napoli in that match. I think they could have, it would have been nice if they could have scored one. But I was reading our boy Rafa Rispo has posted something on Twitter saying, at least we didn't, like I said, allow them to score in Naples. So we have to go there and score. So it's all up to that second leg.
Yeah, and on the other side, Inter Juve got the 2 away goals for Juve. It was one of those games. I wish Juve played like that in the Serie A match a couple weeks ago against the same Inter. I mean, almost night and day. I understand Inter was without Lukaku and Hakimi. Maybe sometimes a different mentality when it comes to Coppa Italia in terms of lineups and stuff. I mean, Bernardeschi was starting at mid for Juve. Obviously for both teams, I think it wasn't the full roster. It was a pretty decent game, I found. Obviously Lautaro had that nice goal. He just got free of the defenders, got free of De Ligt. Nice goal. Juve on the penalty there, and then the huge mistake from Inter And when you make that mistake between Bastoni and Handanovic, and you leave a wide open net for Ronaldo, he's going to capitalize every day. And I mean, it wasn't an easy shot either. If you saw it, he was kind of like on the edge of the 18, on the side of the 18. I wouldn't say not many players could make that. I feel like Bernardeschi couldn't make that. I was definitely nervous seeing the ball trickle in, but two away goals and that's what counts.
Handanovic comes out. Ronaldo's picked Bastoni's pocket, and that is a gift for Juventus. Perfectly finished by their top scorer. A rare defensive lapse from Inter. A mix-up between Handanovic and Bastoni.
So we made initial predictions last week with Gianni. I said.
Yeah.
I now I already forget who I said. I think I said Juve and Atalanta. I said Juve and Atalanta. Who did you say?
I said Juve Napoli rematch of last year.
Okay, yeah, that's true. Are you changing those predictions?
No. I'm gonna stick with what I had originally picked. I don't know about you or again. Fortunately, Johnny's not here tonight, so we can't hear what he has to say about that. But no, I'm gonna stick with it. I think. Just bouncing off what you were mentioning before about the whole, like, if that mess up wouldn't have happened, Inter would probably obviously liked to keep that game at 1-1 going to Torino for the return leg there. But that's two away goals by Juve, which is huge. So, but yeah, it's all to play for in these second legs. But I think Juve will be able to get the job done, and I think. If Napoli can finally get it rolling, I think that they can at least score a goal, I would hope. And I think that they can just score more than Atalanta. So we'll have to wait and see for the second legs. Yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still going to stick with Juve, obviously. But in that match, in the other match, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to say for sure.
It's a toss-up.
It is a toss-up. I think, I think Rafa said it perfectly. I think Napoli kind of has that advantage, right, in a way, because
exactly.
Atalanta didn't score the away goal, so Napoli goes to the Geoes Stadium and they score one goal, and Atalanta's going to have to win the game. Not saying Atalanta can't win the game, but obviously it gets a lot more difficult, especially if it's like, let's say it's a 1-0 game late, and then Napoli could score and they go through to the final. Personally, I still think Atalanta could move on, but that's why they play the games on the pitch, straight up. Serie A match day 20, so they started over the calendar. We're gonna have Nick Gentiletti on from the Calcio Podcast later. Yes. So we had Sam Adamo on in the summer.
What, a while back?
In the summer, yeah. And
Jesus, it was already that long ago. It seemed like it was closer than that. Holy crap, man! This year. These days, they go by. You don't even know what day it is anymore.
Yeah, sometimes I wake up, I have to remind myself what day of the week it is. Sometimes the month.
Exactly.
I'm not even. I wish I was kidding. Sometimes I have to remind myself what month it is. You know what? When you're in that state where your brain's just not there when you wake up. I have to kind of like date myself a bit. Like, okay, today is February 4th. It's Thursday. I work. I have the podcast tonight. Okay, we're good to go.
Yeah.
But I want to kind of stick with Atalanta, or rather the team they lost to on the weekend.
Oh, what a wonderful touch that is. Flag has stayed down. Galini against Correa, who slides it in from an acute angle, potentially firing themselves towards 5 straight wins.
So Lazio, massive win in Atalanta, or rather in Bergamo. After losing in the Coppa Italia. It goes to show, from Atalanta's perspective, how hard it is to beat the same team twice in a week. Not an easy thing to do. Credit to Lazio for bouncing back from that at the same stadium on top of it. But Lazio, 5 straight wins in the Serie A. They're the most informed team in the Serie A right now. I don't know who it was. I think it was Immobile who said Lazio has gone back to their pre-lockdown form. Do you agree with that?
I think, the confidence level I like. You always have to have that winning mentality. Yes, they're climbing. I don't think they're there yet. I think it's still, 5 games is still a small sample size. It's good that they did get onto this run, trying to get back into, the top 6. I believe they are now in 6 spots. So I'm not going to say back to their pre-lockdown days because they were hot. They were really hard to beat. It seemed they were like a full speed head train. Like the Frecciarossa also was coming straight at everybody that was trying to get in their way. So I'm not going to say like that. I am going to say that they are on a good path right now. But for them, and I've always said it needs to be the consistency because we see sometimes they shoot themselves in the foot. They don't have their good performance. Some players, are not all there. But for them to I guess be on this path right now, 5 straight, like you said, it's a positive sign. Can they continue at this? That's remained to be seen. But I'm going to say it's a bit of a stretch to say back to their pre-lockdown days. But like I said earlier, I love the confidence. If it wasn't Mobile, I don't remember who the quote was from, but it's always good to have that winning mentality.
I agree with you because 5 games is tiny compared to what they did last season. Last year they won 11 straight Serie A games between October 27th and January 18th, and they were unbeaten in 21 matches between September 25th all the way through the lockdown. So they didn't lose. They basically didn't lose from September in the Serie A from September till June. Obviously, we had that few months break. They came back June 24th and lost actually to Atalanta 3-2. This is becoming sort of a rivalry, actually.
It's crazy. It's crazy how the scheduling works. Everything works. I don't know. It's nuts. But again, it goes to show, like you said, and mentioned before, it goes to show that the Campionato de Serie A and the Coppa Italia, Champions League, all these different competitions, they're all different in their own right. They're all different beasts, like we like to say. So. Again, good on Lazio for turning the page. I think they got unlucky by pretty much, going up a man, or actually, sorry, Atalanta going down a man to 10 men, and they still end up losing. So, again, good for them to turn the page. And Immobile, providing an assist on the Correa goal. I think Muriqi getting his first in Serie A for Lazio. Immobile is still on form too, scoring goals as of late. So, it just needs to be consistent now. It needs to be more than just this small sample size for them to continue to climb the table.
Speaking about their neighbors, Roma.
Borja Mayoral. There could be a second here for Roma. He's round Silvestri. Back it goes to Mkhitaryan. Brilliant. Back in the side. Once again on the score sheet.
Big win. Big win against Verona. So they lost at Tavolino to Verona in the match day 1. And they almost...
All the fans were worried.
Yeah, they were worried about Tavolino. And they almost beat Verona at Tavolino this time around. A late goal, I think, by Colli for Verona. Made it 3-1. But great showing. I mean, a lot of rumors about Fonseca. Apparently, the manager of Roma was in the same hotel as Allegri. I mean, take that as you will. Some of these things, they could really stretch it out. They really stretch it out. My goodness.
That props at the end really got me. I don't know. It was like the cherry on top. That props that they gave each other at the end. Oh man.
I don't know. You sometimes you read too much into things and you're gonna believe all these rumors. So we'll see. I think I mentioned last week regarding Napoli. I don't know if a mid-season coaching change is going to do much, especially considering just how many games there are. I know maybe it's going to quiet down a bit more. Well, Roma still has the Europa League. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But regardless, big win for Roma against Verona.
Yeah, no, it was, Verona, that tricky team. We've said it time and time again on this podcast. Not only this year, they've always been a tricky team, especially against, the big dogs in Serie A. They seem to be the giant killers this year. So, it's I was a bit surprised considering how Roma's form is. But again, Roma this year, it's a roller coaster ride up and down. They haven't been super consistent. They've looked good at times, but they looked bad at others. With the Fonseca stuff, totally agree. I know that the same rumors are going around with Gattuso in Napoli. I mean, I know other people have mentioned it. I'm pretty sure we have as well. This mid-season coaching change, it's gonna do. In my personal opinion, I think it's gonna do more worse than it's gonna do good right now. Wait till the summer, ride out whatever wave you want to ride out with Gattuso or Fonseca or whoever coach may be. I want to say it was really, really bad, like what we saw last year with Ancelotti at Napoli, but I think Fonseca stays. But maybe Allegri is a good shout. I don't know. But yeah, it's Roma. They've been in the news a lot now with Dzeko apparently not being the captain no longer. Maybe that's now a role that Pellegrini can step up into. I don't know, but just all that negative for Roma. I would think all that negative news, all that drama, soap opera news needs to go for them to stick to their game and play good football on the pitch.
I don't know if you saw this, Adrian, with Juve's game against Sampdoria. It looked like someone left the showers on. Yeah, did you see that?
It was wet over there, very wet.
It was awful. My God, it's just like it's not the first time, that this has happened, right? The season, there's been a couple of games. I know, just thinking off the top of my head, Crotone, Lazio, Roma. Roma, I think, was playing Sampdoria. It was soaked at the Olimpico. And, I understand, you want to play if it's not thundering, it's technically safe. But at what point, does, torrential downpour just become, okay, let's try to wait a couple of hours. Let's see how it plays out. I understand there's no fans, It's not like, anybody's getting soaked in the crowd. But the level of play is just, it's terrible to watch.
I don't know. I think we've seen worse. There's been postponements of games. I don't think they wanted to go down that route, considering how busy and packed the schedule already is in the Serie A, and with other competitions coming as well. But I mean, it still obviously was playable. Obviously the level wasn't top notch, but I mean, take it with what it was. It was a decent match, to say the least. So. But yeah, I don't know. Genoa, it seems to be just in generally, it seems to be always. I don't know if it's always raining or if it's always bad weather. I don't know. Maybe Fabrizio can from Genoa Cup Toronto can clarify that. I don't know, but yeah, no. I don't know if you want to go into that game a bit more, but obviously, Chiesa getting the opening goal, and then I mean, it was a 2-0 game for Juve, but that last goal at the end, it's kind of like an open net in hockey. I found, you know what I mean. You almost don't really count that goal, But Juve got the job done. I've said it now time and time again. When people were saying, "Oh yeah, they're down, they're not looking at themselves," we know that story before. We know this Juve team for now almost 10 damn years. They're not going to give it up without a fight. They're going to continue to fight and crawl and scratch and. So, we saw that again this week, and they got a win in ugly conditions, but they got the 3 points, and Chiesa, obviously another good game for him. So, I guess for Juve fans, it was exciting to see.
Morata for Ronaldo, and this is Alvaro Morata again. It's brilliantly done. It is just brilliantly done. It's so clinical, and Federico Chiesa gives Juve the lead at Marassi.
Speaking about Sampdoria's neighbors, we're doing a lot of neighbor talk today. Apparently, we're gonna have. Let's call him our neighbor. We're gonna have a Nick on later.
Yeah.
In the scope of the world, he's our neighbor, not our actual neighbor.
Yeah, down the street.
Down the street.
Yeah, not really, but
5 minutes. Where was I going? Oh, Genoa. The neighbors of Sampdoria. Another informed team. They've climbed into 14th place. They've won 3 of their last 4. Ballardini has them playing fantastic. They beat Crotone 3-0 on the weekend. Destro, fantastic. I think it's 8 goals in 8 games now.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I know some people are already talking about Destro for the Euros. I mean, it's crazy to think about, but you know what? If he continues this form right through June, I say why not? Because you always want to have that one guy. I know they're going to have, especially at the striker position, they're going to have the established guys in Immobile and Belotti. But I think they're going to need to bring a third guy. Who's that going to be? I know we like to say Chicho Caputo. He's been injured this year. He hasn't been at his form from last year. He's still been scoring. He's not bad. He's still been scoring.
Yeah.
So I still say Caputo, but if Destro continues scoring at the rate that he's scoring, bring Destro. Why not?
It's going to be the ultimate 2020 year if we fucking see Destro at the Euros. But yeah, I know, but they're calling it Euro 2020 apparently. So it's still under that umbrella for me. But yeah, this has been going all across social media. Destro in nazionale, Destro in nazionale. I'm gonna say no. I mean, maybe, but I still think it's a stretch for Destro to make it. So many players to consider. But you know what? At the same time, when we were ragging and saying Chicho Caputo, a lot of people were like, "What the hell are these guys? Chicho Caputo? No way." I don't know, man. He has a shot. So maybe Destro can be that same Chicho Caputo-esque, idea for the national team come this summer that we had mentioned from pretty much the get-go. I still think it's a bit of a stretch. Yes, he's in hot form. Yes, Ballardini hasn't playing good. He hasn't been called up to the national team in God knows how long. He hasn't really been with our core group of players in the national team. I think it would be a lot of pressure to bring him in, but again, you never know. Sometimes you gotta roll the dice with whoever's hot. And I'm sticking with you, and I would assume Johnny would agree with us. But Chicho Caputo, for us, I think needs to make that squad. But again, maybe Destro can be that Cinderella story player that maybe makes an impact for us when we need a goal, and he's the hot guy in form. So we'll have to wait and see what Mancini thinks.
Maybe we're all gonna be singing "Gol di Destro, Gol di Destro, Gol di Destro."
Or I don't know. Or Balotelli. I don't know. Mancini says Balotelli still has he's the most skilled Italian player among everybody. So we'll have to see.
He's in the City B.
There's I love Balo. I love Mario Balotelli. I'm a fan, so I would like to see him back, but I don't know if that would ever happen again. But I don't know. It's that's talking about Destro stretch. I think Balotelli coming back to the national team might be a bit more of a stretch, but yeah, we also got the news that Mancini is going to step down after the World Cup in 2022. So. I don't know. We'll maybe have to go all out or nothing in these next two tournaments.
Yeah, we'll see. It's still a long time away, and we don't want to think about that just yet.
Nope.
Before we have Nick on, cards and MVPs. Idri, take it away with whichever one you wanna do.
You want to get the bat out of the way first?
Okay, no problem.
We'll get the bat out of the way first. So. For me, I'm going to give a yellow card. Originally, I was going to give it to Rodrigo De Paul in that Spezia Udinese match. He obviously got the goal, but then got the double yellow and ended up getting sent off with the red. So I thought that would have maybe hurt his team more than it did. Ultimately, Udinese did win the game 1-0. So I'm going to give that a pass for him this week. For me, everything is sticking with that Inter Benevento game for yellow card, red card, and MVPs. I'm just going to have to give it to Benevento straight up. They've looked bad as of late. Not to say that they should be on crazy high form or what have you, but they started off that game terribly with the own goal by Improta, and it was downhill from there. It was down shit creek from there. So they haven't looked good. It's unfortunate. I mean, again, you're playing Inter. Inter has obviously looked really, really good, throughout the season, even up until last season. So, I'm gonna give a yellow card to Benevento's play in that game, and I think they could have maybe spoiled the party for Inter a bit, but it started off bad, and they never looked forward, and they never got rolling again. So, yellow card for Benevento.
This is definitely going to be another yellow.
So I'm gonna have to go to Fiorentina. I have to go to Fiorentina. Two red cards against Torino. I think this was one of the games, especially from Fiorentina's perspective, that really they should have won. Torino's not good this year, right? Fiorentina, I don't understand. They beat Juve 3-0, and then they go out and lose 6-0 to Napoli. They tied Torino 1-1. None of it makes sense in the Serie A this season. Milinkovic, especially his red, already are down to 10 men. His red was unnecessary for the headbutting with, I think it was Belotti.
Belotti, but even that was a bit.
Belotti did sell it. Belotti did sell it,
Yeah.
but when your team is already down to 10 men, you shy away from all those confrontations. You don't touch anybody. You don't talk to anybody. You play your game. That's it. You play it safe, and he didn't, and it hurt the team. And like I said, I think it was one of those games where they should have won. And then on top of it, you're down to 9 men, and Torino scores quite easily in the 88th minute with Belotti. So for me, that's got to be a yellow.
And he now sees a flash of yellow before his eyes.
Your MVP?
Just before I get to that, when you're talking about don't touch nobody, don't provocate nobody, I was thinking, and I just saw it today. I'm gonna shout them out. The Calcio Corner on Instagram, they had reposted that Mourinho talking about Balotelli back in the Inter days when he had no striker, only Mario Balotelli, and got the yellow card before the halftime, and then after halftime, 46 minutes, he gets the red card. He's down to no strikers, and that just made me laugh. Don't provocate nobody, but play only with the ball. But yeah, no. Besides, moving on from that, because it just reminded me of that moment. For MVP, I wanted to also shout out who was it? Elmas in the Napoli Parma game. Obviously, this week, all the big dogs won pretty much. Except for Atalanta there because they play Lazio. But all the big dogs got the job done. Napoli was one of those teams. And Elmas, twinkled toes in the box and managed to score. It was like Cinderella in the box there. He scored, and it was a huge goal for them. So I want to shout him out first because he played a good game, and I think he's a player that, like I've heard through the Napoli wavelengths, that he probably should be getting in the starting 11 a bit more and playing a bit more from the hop. So I'm going to shout him out first, but I guess the guy who's been in form these past, we got Coppa Italia and we had the Serie A matchup, but Lautaro Martinez, I'm going to give him MVP. Got the goal and the assist in the Serie A matchup against Benevento. And like you had mentioned earlier, he got the opening goal in the Coppa Italia matchup versus Juve, which again was a fantastic goal early in the game. I think that first 10 minutes was the only 10 minutes where they had caught Juve, I think, slipping or not looking themselves. That first 10 minutes, I think, was Inter's minutes, and they capitalized on it. Unfortunately, they couldn't get the result at the end, but getting behind the strong and physical Delict was impressive, and he got that goal. So for the 2 goals and the assist that he had throughout this week or what have you, he's going to get my MVP of the week.
Originally, I was going to give mine to Lukaku, but I guess I'll move away from Inter then. I'm going to give my MVP to Mayoral from Roma. I think he scored. Yeah. So he scored against Verona. I believe he got another assist. Yeah, it's pretty much that, right? Right when they needed someone to step up, especially with this whole Dzeko situation. He's been doing that. Not scoring in boatloads, but they maybe need someone who's going to score every couple of games right now. Maybe kind of make it a collective effort from the striker position from up top.
Just the forwards.
Yeah.
Hopefully, El Shaarawy can maybe.
Yeah, I'm excited to see him back. Another guy that's going to be on Mancini's radar for sure for the Euros. So, but in terms of this weekend, my MVP's got to go to Mayoral.
Silvestri punches it as far as Pellegrini, and Borja Mayoral makes it 3-0 to Roma.
Coming up, Nick Gentiletti from the Calcio Podcast. Welcome back to the Calcio guys, and joining us now from the Calcio Podcast, Nick Gentiletti. Nick, how's it going?
Boys, doing well. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
It's our pleasure. We had to have you on. We had Sam on in the summer. You couldn't make it that time, so naturally we had to get you on. Last week we were looking for a Milan fan, so here you are. What we normally do with our guests, we want to know, how you became a Milan fan, how you became a Calcio fan. So before we get started on everything else, we just want to hear all of that.
Yeah, so I think I have a very typical background as to how I became a Milan fan. It came through really watching with my dad and my grandfather, and it was Milan on the TV, and like a typical fan story would, that just became what I was accustomed to, watching as I grew older. And then I loved playing FIFA as a kid. So, watching Milan growing like that and then playing it at the same time with those, incredible teams on FIFA 2006, 2007, 2008, really that in combination with also just seeing so many icons pass through, in that generation, in our age, we're all relatively the same age. I think that like those three things together, I think that's what really did it for me. It's not a exciting story. I think a lot of people share the same kind of story on the side of the pond, but that's how I became through and through.
Yeah, no, I think you hit it spot on. There's a lot of people that we've spoken to, and just that you hear of that have that similar story. And it's not to shy away that it's not a good story. That's why we like to bring it forward to everybody and hear everybody's story. But Nick, Milan's been on this incredible ride, from, if we want to go back, from post lockdown up until
all the way back,
exactly, up until relatively now. They had recently got the 2-1 win against against Bologna, excuse me. What were your thoughts about rebounding after the bit of a slump, if you want to call it that, with the Derby loss, with the Atalanta loss, a lot of heat coming our way. What do you make of the team bouncing back? And because this month coming up, I think if you want to, we always like to say there's no easy games in Serie A, but if you want to compare it towards the bigger dogs in Serie A, we have a pretty quote unquote easier schedule. So how do you like the bounce back and how this team has been performing so far?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, look, losing 3-0 to Atalanta, and man, I can't just side tangent because of these last few losses to Atalanta. I hate them right now. I hate Gasperini.
I think we're on the same wavelength. I think all Milan fans are.
I whatever grinds my gears. Anyway, between that and then losing that brutal game to Inter in the Coppa on that Eriksen freaking 90th minute goal. Yeah. Like I was scared, I honestly was scared that, I do understand we're a very depleted team right now, but I think Adreano, you'd agree, like we have confidence now that we've seen Milan play at such a high level for, I think, is a great enough, amount of time. Yeah. And I understand all of that, but I was scared. I was scared that this may result in like a mini collapse. And that, if we like drop points to a Crotone or like a Bologna, I was having these thoughts before the Bologna game. I was nervous. Yeah. And obviously, like you mentioned, we beat Bologna, and by no means in a convincing fashion at all. But as I've been telling Sam all year, I think like this new Milan that has people convinced is able to win, right, these games where they don't play convincing, but they come out with a win, because for the longest amount of times, we've always seen that Milan will play unconvincing. They'll push it to the 90th minute, maybe draw at the end, lose at the end, whatever. And now we're able to actually break through and have those moments. Yeah. So I am happy about that when you ask about the bounce back. But I am still a little bit concerned about the level of play over recent weeks. But I try to stay optimistic, and I realize, we have Benacer coming back now at full form, and we have Rebic who's rounding out into better form. I'm cautiously optimistic that we can keep going about that bounce back. How about that?
No, excellent. Well said.
I want to ask regarding the Coppa Italia. Obviously, losing to Inter is one thing, losing to the rival is one thing. But how did you take it? Just being knocked out of Coppa Italia, a chance to win a trophy. As a fan, is that something you accept? Maybe to focus more on Europa League and the Scudetto race at this point.
Yeah, I think that's a great question, because I know I've had this discussion with Sam, and I've seen it all over on Twitter too. This question's kind of divisive among fans. You'll have some that are on that side of the argument. The league, 100%. This is the one thing that you have to go for, right?
Yeah.
And then you have, like Pioli said, and you have some other fans who, rightfully so, say that you have to want to win everything, right? If you're a club like Milan, you have to want to win everything. And I agree with that too. And I find myself agreeing on both sides, because, you have to take in context the fact that Milan's never had a run. Well, never, sorry. They haven't had a run like this in, pretty much a decade. Literally, pretty much a decade on the nose. We're not talking in exaggerations here. A decade, but yeah, it's hard to believe sometimes. But yeah, so part of me does agree sometimes that I want to focus on the league. And if I had to answer Nick that question, I think I would be on that side of fans that says, like, we need to win the league. We need to win the league. We need to win the league, and it's going to result in Champions League, and it's going to get us more money, and then it's going to allow us to keep going forward to compete in these other competitions to allow us to win those. That's my opinion, but I can never disagree with other fans that say that they think that we should win all competitions. Because, like, I agree, we need to be at a point where we're competing at all competitions. So it was disappointing, especially losing to Inter, and especially losing in the 90th minute. But the league's number one.
No, I would probably, I'll definitely agree with you, Nick. There's that stigma around Milan over the years that you play for Milan, you suit up for Milan, you have to win. It's they've had that winning culture, winning mentality over the years. Obviously, like you mentioned, this damn decade hasn't been our decade, but yeah, no, they you go back to like the older players, or historic players or legends, or now Ibra coming back, and he has those memories from the old Milan, if you want to say that you need to win everything. But again, I think this year, I don't know if many people would have expected Milan to be where they are right now. They are still in first place, 2 points above Inter. So it is going to be interesting, but talking about the other competition that they still are in with the Europa League, they will be playing Red Star if I'm not mistaken. Yep. Obviously, we got the news about the squad selection and who's making that squad, who's not. For some fans, there was a eyebrow raised when Hauga didn't get the nod. So we got a question here from the Calcio Days, I believe on Instagram. What are your thoughts on Hauga's struggles? In my opinion, is the language barrier something that hit hard for him, and also on the Hauga subject, the wonderful Presidente Marcello from Milan Club Montreal had to add a question in like that too. The GOAT, exactly. He also mentions lots of noise regarding Milan's Europa League squad. Did Pioli make the right choice of bringing in guys like Mete or Krunic and leaving out Hauga? What are your thoughts on first off on the Europa League? What are your expectations for that, and what are your expectations with the squad that they brought on? Was the Hauga decision right or wrong in your opinion? Yeah,
so I'll go back to the beginning of that question with so you mentioned the language barriers and his struggles and everything. I mean, first thing is the language barriers. I don't know. I saw in one of the first few weeks that he was on the team, he was like on the train, on the like Freccia, or on the plane. I don't know where, reading a book and studying. So obviously good for him. I mean, obviously I don't know how much he's learned since then, but I think from what I've seen and from what I've read, his struggles. I think to anyone who's watched, it's quite obvious that he has that it factor, I think, to him. That's something where he could just do something out of nothing and score. And, we saw that again in the Europa League against albeit some more inferior competition, yes, compared to the Serie A.
Yeah.
But I think he could be something special. But I think the struggles relate to, I've seen and read as well, Pioli's system demands wingers that he's very demanding of his wingers. They need to play very, very much in the press, and they need to play within a system, and they don't have as much of a free rein to creativity in their approach, which he had at Bodo Glimt, from what I've read. I've only watched 2 Bodo Glimt games in the last 5 years, and they were in the last year.
We're no experts here. We're no experts.
Exactly. But from what I've read, he had a very free, creative role there, and I'm sure that obviously doesn't help either. And you also pair that with the fact that this is the best, competition he's ever played against, and he's still only, I don't know if he's 20 or 21, but, very young. It's a combination. And you know what? Why even throw the language in there? Why not? Whatever. There's so many reasons why he's struggling right now. And I don't think that's something for people to worry about. But when you talk about the Europa League selection, I do agree that I think my first reaction was I had an eyebrow raised, like you said, when I saw he wasn't selected.
Yeah.
Because, we've obviously seen that. I think he has he has crazy numbers in the Europa League, over 4 goals and 4 assists. I forget what the exact numbers are, maybe even 6 on one of those figures. And you see that and you raise an eyebrow. But you factor in those recent struggles with also the fact that, Milan are almost at a luxury with the amount of options they have to play at the left wing now. How would be a third option left winger? And, we hear that Meite and Krunic were the ones that stayed in the squad at his expense. So I think we've seen that the center midfield can get a little bit thin. So with injuries, right, that we've seen and everything, and the demanding schedule. So I think when we take a step back, for me anyways, I understand it, but I think it sucks a bit because Haugas, that's something special, and you never know when he comes off the bench what he could do. But I'm not up in arms about it.
So another of those players that got added to the list, or rather a new signing, Mario Mandzukic, joins Ibrahimovic and Rebic with forward. So the battle of the itches at forward for Milan. What do you make of that signing, and what are your expectations for Mandzukic?
When it first happened, I was pretty happy. I thought, adding another leadership figure into the mix in a position where we actually did need depth at striker, has that killer mentality like Ibra. So it's why not? That'd be incredible, in training and if he could ever get onto the pitch, whenever. His 2 games that he's played, his 2 features, that not impressed at all, really. But I don't know what there was much to judge on, really. Also, he should be banned completely from playing on the left wing. I don't know how Allegri made it work when he did. He's just a wizard. He's a magician. I don't know how he made it work. But in this system where the wingers are pressing all the time, crazy and going, and Mandzukic used to be able to do that. I don't know if he's really capable of doing that anymore. Maybe he needs to gain match fitness. I don't know. I don't know what he can put. After seeing what Ibra did, I'm very slow to judge older players now that maybe keep their fitness up, it's not FIFA just because you're 30 something, you're slow, or whatever. You have no physique to you. But I was happy, but we haven't seen much yet. And I just hope that whenever he does need to be called into action at striker when needed, that he'll be able to, if it's not score, at least keep that target man play up like Ibra and that attitude. And it's a 6-month deal. There's really nothing to it. It doesn't matter how much he's getting paid. His contract's up at the end of the year. I think why not? If we can, why not?
Yeah, I think you hit it out of the park with that. Just the experience, the depth, his flexibility along the front line. When we spoke about it when he first signed, me, Nick, Johnny as well, we all know that he's a fighter. He'll fight for the shirt. He fought for the shirt at Juve. He fought for it at Bayern. Everywhere he's been that type of player. So I definitely agree with you, Nick. But another player that is for me has been an interesting player. Kind of, I guess, with that Hauge, what you mentioned about Hauge, kind of that spark, kind of can bring something off the bench, or maybe even from the starting 11. Brahim Diaz. We got a question from our good friends at Pizza Calcio on Instagram. Would you purchase Brahim? Sorry?
I said great account.
Great account, beautiful. Yeah,
definitely.
Great account. We salivate. We always tell them. We've had them on the pod. They're good guys. So definitely shout out to them. But they ask, would you purchase Brahim based on the current sample size that we've been given with his play? Does he need more time in his natural position? We've seen him kind of as a trequartista. We've seen him a bit on the wings as well. We've seen him just kind of have a bit of that free roam as well, if you want to say that as well. But what do you make of him? Obviously, it is a loan with the option to buy. Would you pull the trigger on a guy like Brahim for a depth for this Milan squad?
So remind me, I think it's 25 million euros?
The figure, I believe it's about 25 to 30. I'm not 100% either, but I believe it's in that ballpark range.
So I'm not sure. If it's 30, I would say like max, in my opinion. Like, I do think he's very talented. I think he is very talented, and like you said, or like the listener said, he maybe hasn't had as much time in his natural position, and that's because Çalhanoğlu's been playing out of his mind, like amazing this year. So like we can't be mad about that. Let's be honest.
For sure.
So we've seen him feature on the wing where at times he's definitely shown that he's skillful and that like he's energetic, like he's high in that press, like he just fits the system like very well. And like I even like just seeing like the camaraderie, sorry, I can't speak, among his teammates. Like I don't know, I see his style of play and his attitude and all that, and I like what I see. And I also do think to a certain extent that, you know, Milan with their finances, fixed and whatnot, that being able to spend like 25 million on a very young, promising, player, like, I think that should be an issue. But at the same time, like, I wouldn't say more than 30 if that's what the figure is. If we're talking about like 25 million, I think like that's great. Like if he could solidify himself as, again, adding versatility and being able to step up when needed, like he looks very talented. Unfortunately, I do think Real Madrid have a buyback clause if we buy him off his loan. So our gains may be capped there, but if he can offer something to the squad and it's in that ballpark range, like I say, yeah, let's do it.
So Marcello, president of Milan Club Montreal, he had a couple of comments. Said this is great.
Yeah, he had a few.
Said this is great. Nick will talk more on your our podcast than he will on his own one.
Guys, I don't know. I don't remember the last time I spoke this much ever. Ever.
Well, good. We're getting it out of you.
It's therapy.
There you go.
Oh, good, bro. It's good.
You also asked a question more directed to us, but I'm gonna twist it for Nick here. He said, "What does Nick? What do I think of Adriano's FIFA skills? Will he rep the Calcio guys well in the FIFA 21 charity tournament?" But I want to ask you: Are you going to participate? Are you going to represent the Calcio podcast in that Milan Club Montreal FIFA tournament?
So I had to let Marcello know that no, I couldn't. So I don't have a PS4 anymore. But I'm very thank God Sam doesn't have. I'm grateful that Sam doesn't have a PS4 because he's awful. He's terrible at FIFA. He's garbage. Every time I play him, I could take a 1-star team and he could take Barcelona, and it's 5-0 every game. So I think, while unfortunate that we won't be represented, I think it's better that until I get my chance, or until I get my chance to get back on my PS4. Or whatever console this is played on, who knows in the future, I'll be back and Sam will not be representing. So I think it's better to wait than see Sam.
than to rush into things. No, it's good.
Yeah, I mean, we have a good story. Sam is so bad at FIFA that we would do friendly wagers on the side. And I told Sam, if I could beat you with, I forget what team, with the Impact, I think, the Montreal Impact, the local reference for all you listeners, not existent anymore. They're the CF
Montreal.
I actually. So this is
It's
we're talking about throwback teams over here. Some stupid bet that if I scored X amount of goals or beat him X amount of times, you have to buy like a Rod Fanny jersey. If you guys remember that guy. So we do stupid things like that. He's bad. He's terrible. He's garbage.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Sam's getting the heat
Yeah.
on the podcast tonight. I think when we had him on, I think he gave you a bit of the heat. So it goes.
We need to do a live stream. It's show. Smacking it.
That's it.
Adrian, are you going to be representing the Calcio guys in this tournament?
So I still have to sign up. So it has been going around. This is a great initiative that I think just being from Montreal, being part of the club is where I'm very, very happy that Marcello and this idea that got brought up by one of our members, Mehdi, got brought forward. Incorporating Fondazione Milan. With his Play for the Future, whatever the name is of the thing, but yeah, a lot of Milan clubs are joining. A lot of media pages are joining. Marcello always keeps a soft spot for us local boys. So there is the sign up date is until tomorrow. There's going to be a draw, everything to see how the bracket's going to work. I don't know. As soon as this starts to take off, the Quebec government wants to ease some regulations. I'm probably going back to work, so now I'm going to have less time. But I can never disappoint the GOAT, Marcello, as Nick mentioned. So I'm probably going to sign up just to make him happy.
I played. Marcello asked me. I forget when it was. I don't know, October, November. I forget when it was. I played in like a warm up tournament that Milan Club Montreal hosted. I killed Jan. I embarrassed him. It was too easy, and then I lost to Massimo Schipani. I lost to him. It was a close game, so respect to him.
Baby. Shout out, brother.
I wasn't used to playing with Milan, so hopefully Adriano could represent us a bit better. We had another question on social media. I'm guessing it was Sam who wrote this because it's from the Calcio Podcast account. He wrote
100%.
He wrote the kick. It's good. Question mark. So
you can decide for that.
This is a inside joke. If you could give us some of the background on this.
I mean, I guess like podcast inside joke, but it's not really an inside joke. It's actually a reference to it's like one of our favorite quotes that we've probably like repeated so many times. It's a press conference it's one of Antonio Conte's press conferences as manager of Chelsea.
Oh, yeah. Chelsea, the chocolate cake, yes.
Yeah, exactly. And like, that iconic quote. I can't do the accent at all. Sam's great at doing impressions and Antonio Conte accent. It's the cake. It's good. The cake is good. Like, it's good cake. And then the guy is just like, oh yeah, it's so good. Totally. Yeah, that's just it's an all-time quote. We like those things.
Okay, so a little fun poking from Sam. We love it on this side of things, but if we want to move away, maybe from Milan talk in general. We're just going to go out on a limb and say you follow the Azzurri just like us. We're in the same age range, more or less, the four of us. The 2006, again, going out on a limb. I'm going to say it's probably one of your better days in your life as well, like us. So a lot of talk with the Azzurri as of late. Obviously, the news of Mancini, stepping away after the World Cup in 2022, apparently. And other news, if you just scroll on Twitter and you follow the Serie A just a tad bit, recent form with Mattia Destro, 8 goals in 8 games, or 8 goals in 9 games, whatever it is. This is the talking point. We spoke about it a bit before, but what are your thoughts about Destro in Nazionale? Is that anywhere on the map for you, or is that just totally crazy and no chance in hell that's going to happen come this summer?
That is crazy. It's crazy. Like it's crazy. I can't. Like I get it. I respect. On a less serious note, like Mattia Destro, like he's just one of those players that bothers me. Like I just hate that every goal he celebrates, like it's like he won the World Cup. Like act like you've been there before. But like no. On a more serious note, I mean, yeah, I think is it okay? Is it crazy? Like, no, because whenever someone's in like that kind of form, and yeah, we got to admit that the striker position at the national level hasn't exactly been a sure spot. So if you want to put like all of that together and say like, okay, like maybe, like, okay, fine, we could talk about it, but like I'm not gonna take it seriously. Like I'm just not. I've seen enough of Mattia Destro to know that, you know. And not only him, other Italian strikers who have gone through their forms, Caputo or like Lapadula in the past. Like it's great to see these Italian boys like in their form and whatnot, and it's awesome that like maybe if they can ever get called up, they get some action like here or there. But to start saying like, you know, make the Euro squad, or he wasn't a part of any kind of setup in the qualification and the build up, and it's just like a short stint of form. You know, if he's got like 16 goals in 16 games or 18 goals in 18 games, however many games are left, 18, 19, maybe we could revisit the subject. But like, I think I've seen enough of Mattia Destro and other players who have passed to know that it might be a little bit crazy to think that he would make the national team squad.
Let's not talk about his Milan days because
we
like to forget about those days.
Let's not go there. So. We don't need it to get real therapy.
Yeah, exactly.
We're still on Team Caputo here at the Calcio guys. So
for sure. And everybody calls us crazy for saying it.
Yeah, I love him. I respect it, but I just need to say like I respect it, but. We gotta breathe sometimes.
Yeah,
we gotta breathe sometimes. I respect it, man. I like Caputo. I like him as a player.
I think if the Euros were held last June, when he scored, you know, what was it, 21 goals in the Serie A last season, and you know, he continued that form. You know, if there wasn't this pandemic and everything, I think I wouldn't call it a lock for the team, but you know, maybe he's a bit unsure at this point. We have another international break to go through in March, so we'll see who Mancini calls up. I feel like whoever he calls up in March, that could pretty much be the roster, you know, barring any injuries and stuff. So that's another 6 weeks away, I think. So we'll see. But Nick, I wanted to ask you. The first time I saw your last name, Gentiletti, the first thing that came to mind. Former Lazio and Genoa player Santiago Gentiletti.
Yes.
Or I think it's pronounced Gentiletti because he's Argentinian. Any relation that you know of?
No, absolutely not. But I love it. I found this guy. It's been a while. I mean, he hasn't been on Lazio for maybe it's more recent than I thought, but it's at least like 4 years that he's not on the team anymore.
I think
I'm not sure.
He was Lazio 2014 to 16, and then Genoa 16 to 18. So 5 years.
Oh my God, he was on. Oh, it's true. I do remember looking it up more recently, and I was very surprised that he was still on Genoa in 2018. That's wild. I do remember actually. I was very much debating buying a Genoa kit with his name on the back. Now that I remember that you brought it up, but it's very forgetful because I think I forgot about it right away when it was like impossible to find. I just try looking on some of these like smaller Italian clubs' websites if you're trying to ship to like. Anywhere outside of Italy, like forget it. Like it's impossible. In euros too, so I was like, you know what, it's not worth it. But no relation. I wish though. I wish there was a relation.
Well, you never know. There's a lot of Italians in Argentina, so you never know. There might be down the line. Maybe ancestry.
I mean, my mom's Italian too, and she had the same last name as one of the most recent Real Madrid managers, Solari.
Oh, there you go.
We're down there. The Italians are down there.
Well, the former president of the Serie A, Gaetano Michichea, had the exact same name as my great grandfather. So, I was always rooting for him. I was a bit disappointed when I found out he stepped down. So it was always nice to see, you know, Michichea announced this, Michichea announced that, and you know, my family name. But it's always cool to see.
For sure.
But if talking about other sort of connections, maybe I'm going a bit on a stretch here, but we were circling a bit back more to Milan, Nick. Fikayo Tomori, we got him from Chelsea, the center back, on loan, option to buy from Chelsea. born in Canada, for anybody that still doesn't know that. Born in Canada, born in Calgary, represents England for the national side. Would have been nice if he repped Canada. But anyways, there's a bit of a connection there. What do you make of him and his? I know we spoke about Brahim Diaz, about would you I'm not bite the bullet, but would you pull the trigger? On Brahim. Would you do the same thing with Canadian boy, in quotations, Fikayo Tomori from Milan?
Yeah, I actually think Tomori was capped at the youth level in Canada, I believe.
Yeah,
maybe
20.
Yeah,
maybe one.
Like,
That's crazy.
actually, against England, the one game he played for the Canadian youth team was against England, the team he plays for now.
That got him. That changed him. He went to the other side. I mean, Adreano, now that you asked the question, I'm thinking like Tomori and Diaz are both on like options, and to answer your question quickly, and then I'll get back to it more in detail. Like, yeah, I would like to buy him. But it's like that's 50 million, like right there, or like more, even if we know the rough numbers over here. And hopefully, if Milan wins the league and makes the Champions League, that'll be very affordable, and let's hope. But to answer your question, like more in detail, again, very small sample size for Tomori from what we've seen.
Absolutely.
And I do watch the Premier League. And I knew he hadn't played for a while, and I don't watch close enough to known why. Like I never really found like Rudiger or whoever would sub in at center back for Chelsea, Christensen. I never really don't rate them that highly. So I never really understood why he was on the bench. Again, don't watch that closely, so maybe I was missing something or whatnot. But I do remember watching him. When he did have that year where he had maybe like 13 appearances, if it was like 2 years ago, and I saw he's very physical, like he's quick, and very young, obviously, and just in the short period that we've seen him play on Milan, and pretty tough circumstances too, coming on in his first appearance, midway in the game, and then getting a start soon after, making like big blocks. Just very fast, very physical, not something we've seen out of our center backs in a long time. I mean, Romagnoli's been there for a while and he's great, but he's by no means physical or fast or anything like that. He's very well positioned and he's a great anticipation, good tackling. But very, very been a long time since we've seen a center back like this. Like, very long time. Now that I think about it, I don't even know who I could think of that was like a big beast, quick kind of center back for Milan. But great on the ball too, and you could obviously tell. Like I know there was like that one little GIF of Tomori and Romagnoli like trying to talk to each other in like signs by like making signs and stuff. So obviously he's the language barrier for him is probably not easy too. But I've loved what I've seen from him, and I know the figure on him is 30, and that seemed like a lot for a player that hadn't necessarily been like playing a lot in recent months. But I think he has promise. Clearly, Chelsea fans are not happy. I've seen rumors that already that they're regretting the decision apparently, and that they really want him back. If we can afford it, again, that's a very young center back prospect, very promising. If we have the money, let's do it.
Yeah, no, I think you brought up some good points, Nick. Obviously, just his debut was unexpected and such a huge match in the derby della Madonnina. That's a lot of pressure for a young kid who literally just got signed. Maybe a couple of days before? Not even. I don't even remember what it was. But straight up, he came from Chelsea, signed, took the picture with Maldini and the boys, and went onto the pitch not too long after. Yeah. So I got to give him kudos for that, for having to deal with Lukaku in that match. Obviously, with Kjaer's injury, he's Pio's putting a lot of trust in him going forward now. Yeah. Again, it's small sample size, like you said, which I totally agree. But again, I agree with what you said about the top four is the objective. If we win the Scudetto, it's a bonus. That brings in more funds for the team. And this, these options to buy at 25, 30, 35 million maybe become a bit more realistic and maybe a bit more feasible in doing so. Plus, with the extensions that we need to make with Donnarumma, with Hakan, and players of that nature. So, and maybe Ibra down the line if he sticks around, I don't know. But I want to agree. And again, just I find it cool with the Canadian connection for Tomori. I think that'd be cool for Milan fans here, especially in North America or in this part of Canada. So yeah, he looks impressive so far. But lastly, just before we wrap up, thoughts on Ibrahimovic. I know we've spoken about with our other Milan guests about Ibrahimovic on and off the pitch. What do you make of him? Is he going to continue on with his Milan team past his contract, or how important is he for this Scudetto challenge?
Yeah, I love Ibrahimovic. Like, I think I'd be pretty biased in anything. I mean, I'll try to be as unbiased as possible, but like, I love Ibrahimovic, and I've loved him since anyone who's known me from like youth, like from even playing soccer when I used to like play at forward and stuff. Before I ended up having to get pushed all the way further back on the pitch into center back, but in my glory days as a striker. And even watching like Zlatan before Milan, like I liked Zlatan when he was on Juve, like when he was on Inter, like before Milan, like I really liked him as a player. And like he joined Milan, and I love him. So I'm obviously gonna be very biased in things I'm gonna say about him, but I'll try my best. It's really incredible to see what he's done for us since he's come over a year ago now, and it's sometimes it's surreal, but I'm trying to be rational about it, and I know that he's shown as much as he's shown signs of being a beast and amazing, he's scoring crazy goals. Like, we know his limitations, and we know he's getting older, and he gets hurt, and he commands a lot of money, and like I get it.
Yeah.
So having him the rest of the years would be massive. Like, we need this push. Like, can you just imagine how poetic Ibra coming back after 9 years or whatever it was? Last time he was here, Milan won the title, and if he comes back to God willing, help Milan cross the finish line, title winners this year, like, it'd be one of the most insane stories. Like, there needs to be like a documentary about this, like everything, for sure. And like, I love him. But I'm skeptical about keeping him for after this year. I am, because somehow can we get him as a coach or something that could maybe sub in where he doesn't have to be a player, because I love him. I love the influence he has on the players, and like you see him on the bench too, and he says like these young players rejuvenate him, which is maybe what's also helping him right now, this unique situation. I don't know, but I love him, and if he did resign for another year, I wouldn't be mad. Of course not, but like I'm skeptical. But the only thing that matters is the rest of the season right now. We think about next season, and we gotta make this push. We gotta make this push, and he's here to help us do it, and he's our best player right now, arguably, if not one of them. So
yeah, no, I totally agree.
You said like to bring him back almost like a player coach. That's pretty much what Buffon does with Juve. Like,
exactly.
He doesn't play much. The rare Serie A game, the Coppa Italia, but he's there for experience. He's pretty much an assistant coach.
The problem is Zlatan Adigo is 1 million times bigger than Buffon's. So Buffon recognizes that as much as he could still come in and actually play it, like I'm better suited to let Szczesny play it. That's not going to happen. Ibrahimovic could be like on crutches, and he won't let Leao take the starting or take a penalty like Messi.
Yeah, exactly.
That's true.
Exactly.
Please stop that.
But plus, like salary wise, like you were saying, that's a bit like he can be on crutches, he can be on his last legs, but his salary will still be high. Whereas I would think with Buffon, I don't know what he's getting paid, but it's a bit more manageable on Juve's front there. So
I would assume so.
I would assume, but yeah, no, Nick, that was definitely well said. If they can do it, 10 years later, 10 years later, from when Ibra first was there till now, again, I think that would be a documentary series.
You build a statue of Ibra. If that happens, you build like you have to. You have to. You really have to. I'm not joking. It needs to be done for sure. It's incredible.
Yeah. Just his interview with Ambrosini, I don't know if you caught that, was really cool. Going down the timeline of the old Milan to now. So, hey, it would be very poetic if, like you mentioned, that if it would happen. Fingers crossed. That's why I got the Padre Pioli background till the end.
Praying to him.
Always praying. But Nick, on the behalf of our Nick, myself, and unfortunately our other co-host Johnny couldn't be here tonight. Thank you so much for taking your time out of your night to speak to us. Coming on our podcast. We couldn't have you on the first time, but we made it happen this time. We just want to say our thanks for you to do that for us. Where can all our followers, listeners find yourself and the great podcast that you do on social media? Yeah,
well, first of all, thanks for having me, guys. This is awesome. It was a lot of fun. Got to speak a lot, so I like this. No, let's stop roasting stuff. It was awesome. I think next step is you got to see Sam and I both on at the same time. That might get out of hand. That might be too much. That might be crazy. I don't know.
We gotta do vice versa. You gotta come both us, and we gotta go.
Yeah, and then you guys gotta come on ours. Exactly.
You.
We need to
That's
see
it.
Exactly.
That'd
be amazing. But so you can catch us on Twitter. That's where we're most active at Calcio Podcast. We're also on Instagram, relatively active there at Calcio Podcast. Sam's doing some wacky TikTok stuff at Calcio Podcast. I don't know what's going on there, so you could check that out if you want. I think he actually got one that banged pretty hard about Theo Hernandez sprinting. It got a bunch of views, but I don't know what he's doing. I don't know what he's doing over there. You can find me on Twitter at NickGents21, and we're on Apple Podcasts, we're on Spotify, Stitcher, or anywhere you typically get your podcasts. We're there at the Calcio Podcast.
Well said, beautiful. It's the same thing on our end, ragazzi, at the Calcio Guys, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook as well, like we say every week. And just like the Calcio Podcast, you can find the Calcio Guys on all your favorite podcasting platforms. And we'll definitely be back next week to talk more Calcio.
Thanks for listening.
Ciao.
The Calcio Guys is a weekly podcast by Adreano Donardo, Gianni Della Colli, and myself, Nicholas Di Giovanni. We want to bring Calcio back to its roots in our communities and share stories from around the world about why we're passionate about the beautiful game. You can listen to us anywhere where you listen to your podcasts, including Spreaker, Google Podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, iHeart Radio, and Mixcloud. Give us your opinion on social media at The Calcio Guys on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. The outro song is The Last Ones by Jazar.